Good morning, Delaware. I was just saying my coffee's out.
And I need more. So I'll be going to get some when I leave here
today.
All right, let me just, walk over here. What we really need is a coffee maker in here. That'd be interesting.
We do.
Yeah. Although, you
great.
run the risk of, there's very expensive things in here, and then you put liquid into the mix.
Right.
Not a good idea.
And then you need baked goods. You give a librarian a coffee, she's going to ask for a croissant.
That
There you
is
go.
true.
There you
go.
If you give a mouse a
Yes.
cookie, it's if you give a librarian a coffee.
Ah, okay, I see.
We're on to
another,
something.
and another, and another in my case.
Well, good morning, Delaware. Happy Friday. The voices you hear, of course, are Nicole Fowles, Molly Meyer-LaBadie, and we have Melissa Dougherty with us this morning.
Hello.
Hello. You might know Melissa from the Orange Branch Library, some story times. You might also have remembered her from the Powell Branch.
Yeah.
And you are just making your way around this system.
I love it.
Conquering it. One
we
branch
love
at a
it
time.
too. We really, really love it. Joy is wherever Melissa is how I feel.
That's right. Well, we have some exciting things to talk about in the second half of the program that you are not going to want to miss. We are talking about the eclipse.
Yes.
The word is getting out. The excitement and the popularity is building. So hang tight for the second half of the program where we talk about the total solar eclipse happening right here in Delaware County on April 8th, 2024. So that's your tease.
Yes.
Don't go anywhere. But before that, you're going to want to hear about books.
Books. I love books. Books are the best.
Books. Tell us about your book this week, Molly.
Okay, my book this week was suggested to me probably a year ago by one of our friends at the library. And it's called The Night Bookmobile. I know, I'm really excited about this. If you love our bookmobile, this is going to be a little extra magical for you.
Ooh, fun.
So this is for adults, even though it looks like a picture book from the outside. We don't have it in the picture book section. The author is Audrey Niffenegger. And the story starts this way. It is a sort of, I think she's 20-something-year-old woman. And she's just sort of living her life, and she's having a hard night. She's just fought with her husband, which happens all the time. And she decides to go for a walk. It's one of those almost misty mornings. She's walking around like today, a lot like today. She's walking around outside and sees something she's never seen before. She sees this old RV. And as she gets ready to walk by it, a gentleman comes out and says it's the Night Bookmobile.
Oh,
I like
and
it.
after
I like it.
they talk for a little bit, and he says, "Why don't you come in and see what we have?" And when she comes in, she starts looking on the shelves, and this is where it just gets amazingly magical. As she's looking on the shelves, she sees all the books that she recognizes. And as the night goes on, she just keeps looking on the shelves, and it's everything she recognizes. And she talks to the gentleman and she goes, "Are these all my books?" And he says, "Yes, this is every book you've ever read."
Oh, I need that.
When
What
she
magic.
leaves the bookmobile, he disappears. She comes back and looks for him night after night after night. Every day it almost becomes this obsession until she's almost given up. She has a new job. She's leaving work. It's been a hard day. And there's the bookmobile. She gets on and she sees it's increased. And every pamphlet she's read, every receipt she's read, it is everything she has ever read. And it's gotten bigger.
Oh, man.
And she starts to become very obsessed. Now, I will tell you, again, this has triggers in it.
Okay.
So this does have sort of a little bit of a heavy ending. How you become a bookmobile driver. Curate the collection. But she becomes really, really obsessed. I don't want to give away the ending of it, but her obsession leads her to the next phase. She meets the bookmobile several more times. It just has this feeling. It is a really good gray, rainy day, cup of tea in your hand. It's written in graphic novel form.
okay.
Oh, love that.
So, and the pictures really are part of that story because you almost picture yourself being this character as she pulls each book and starts to recognize every book. My mom actually kept a list of every book I ever read until I started reading Sweet Valley High, when she was like, I'm not going to write down all the
Sweet
trash
Valley
you're
High,
reading. I
1
have no
through
problem
55.
with you reading it, but I am not going to write every one of these down. So I have every book hand typed on a typewriter
Oh,
that I
wow.
read. So the only patch in my life I have without them is from Sweet Valley High until Goodreads was created. And now I have one of these days I want to go into my Goodreads and put those in by the year so that my Goodreads shows sort of my life in that bookmobile. Like
That's
it's
so
sort of
cool.
creating
Yeah.
almost my own bookmobile.
So are y'all rereaders? Like, or are you I read a book and I'm done and
I'm done.
I'm done because
Oh.
there are just too many to get to, except for very special ones. I have about 2 or 3 that are my comfort books, but
Yeah.
they're shorter.
I am a big rereader, so this idea of
Wow.
having the bookmobile of my books, just
Oh, you
like,
would love
Yeah.
that.
it's perfect.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
could just go and be
Yes.
like, yes, I love you. Let me read you
I
again.
wonder if you'd get double copies. They did not address that.
Oh, I don't know. That's
I
Talk about the
important.
rules of
well,
the
and
world.
the other cool thing on there is some of them had barcodes, some of them
Oh,
didn't.
fun.
So whether
Where they
she
came
bought
from.
them
Yeah.
or she checked them out, or
Yeah.
so it had
Love
all
it.
the markings on it. I mean, it really was a pretty magical read for a grown-up.
Yeah.
You know, and once again, because it's
Adult
going to look
book,
like a
yeah.
children's book,
Mhm.
it's not. We don't put it there. It absolutely is worth your time, though. Give it a read. Give yourself a magical moment.
Nice. So this is The Night
Bookmobile.
by Audrey Niffenegger.
Niffenegger?
Okay.
I have not heard it. Everybody
I
listen.
have.
I read this book. It was not my audio.
Well, yeah, that's good. That's probably good to read a graphic novel.
Every now and again, I need to hold a book,
Yeah.
and I can read actual novels still, too.
That's a great recommendation. I might add it to my list.
It's a quick read.
Good.
I also really needed a good quick read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Melissa, what do you have this morning?
So I have a picture book that is for children.
Okay,
that I
good.
stumbled.
Perfect.
Yes, I'm staying in my wheelhouse. My OG loves. So I have a Spoonful of Frogs, and this is written by Casey. I apologize. The last name is either Lyall is Lyall. And this is like the art in it is what initially drew me to it because it's super cute.
I love that.
This witch is doing like a cooking show. Like it very much has these like Julia Child
cute.
vibes. She's got that 1950 skirt and she's doing a cooking show and she gets to the part in her recipe where she's supposed to add a spoonful of frogs.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Yes.
turns out when you have a frog on a spoon, they tend to jump.
Yeah.
It is really hard to get that spoonful of frogs.
But you need it.
You have
You
to
really
have
need it.
And so the book is her trying to catch this frog to add in her spoonful of frogs. It goes off the rails. It's delightful. I'm a Halloween all year round kind of person, but you can read it in
Yeah.
any season. I think it's got like some spring tones. It's really funny to see her progress from like put together housewife witch to like chaos, like this frog is ruining my life witch, which as a mom I can vibe with a lot.
Yes.
So super cute book. I highly recommend any time of year. If you like cooking, if you like silliness, if you like witches, A Spoonful of Frogs by Casey Lyall.
That sounds
Oh,
awesome.
I think I'd love that one.
I'm going to add it to my list too. I've got so many good recommendations today. Well, we are going to run the gamut then because you've got a picture book, you've got an adult graphic novel. I have a middle grade book called What Happened to Rachel Riley. It is by Claire Swinarski. And What Happened to Rachel Riley, I would recommend for like my third grader listened to it in the car with me as we've been
Yes.
talking about recently. But I had to help explain some concepts to her. And we had the conversation, which I always recommend. Like I
Yeah.
love reading
Yeah.
books
Yeah.
together with your child so that if those difficult conversations come up, you can frame it in the context of your family.
And that's great with the audiobooks because you're
Yes.
right there
Yeah.
together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Every step.
But I would still give this maybe like 6th to 8th grade would
Okay.
be good for this. So the concept is, and it's an amazing audiobook. So good. It was written for audiobook. So What Happened to Rachel Riley is about a girl named Anna who has moved to a new school. She's an 8th grader there. And she is, got the new girl feeling. She's sitting kind of by herself at the cafeteria, hasn't quite found her groove yet, noticing, she notices all the things. She fancies herself a podcaster. She
Nice.
loves this famous podcaster, Mimi somebody. And she wants to like be at Mimi's summer camp where she learns like the art of podcasting.
Yeah.
She also, because she notices everything and she's intuitive about things, she's also always kind of wondering like, oh, could this be the subject of a podcast? And could I dive deeper into this? And so what she notices one day during lunch is that a teacher comes out and they say who has a birthday that day, and everybody gets clapped for. She said, no matter what, even if they're in this social group or in this social group, like everybody always receives cheers on their birthday, and it's so wonderful, except Rachel Riley. And so she doesn't understand why Rachel Riley gets no cheers. She's witnessed this for several months, and she's like, what is happening? Why doesn't Rachel get the cheers? She goes and digs onto Rachel's social media, and she sees that she's got many followers. She has lots of pictures with other people in their class, yet she sits alone at lunch. She reads a book by herself, and she got no cheers on her birthday. So she begins this Nancy Drew meets Only Murders in the Building podcast live stream,
Here for
kind
it.
of like merging the two together of what happened to Rachel Riley. Why is she now the social pariah? And the book is told through emails, text messages, voice interviews, her own like personal notes to herself through her just voice to text app, and things like that, and voice recorder app. And so as she's kind of building this podcast for her application for her summer with Mimi, she's also figuring out like why Rachel has become the social pariah. What it talks about is a very, very middle grade accessible entry into sexual harassment.
Okay.
And so what ends up happening is you learn about in 7th grade, before Anna began a student at that school, the boys, a certain group of boys, had begun this game that's called The Game.
I don't like the sound of that.
They start, kind of like one dude in a locker room says, she's cute, I want to smack her bottom. And then another boy's like 5 points if you do, just jokingly. And then the points become real. And then the girls all become ranked. And then all of the scores end up getting posted. And so it's appropriate, right? Like you can talk about sexual harassment sounds like.
And that's real.
Yeah. Sexual harassment sounds really like, heavy and, I don't want to hear my 7th grader talking about it. But that's an accessible way to like get into it. Like that's uncomfortable. That's your body. You don't want someone else touching your body. That's the definition of sexual harassment is you're not allowed to do that to me. And I got to have that conversation with my 3rd grader as we were, like I was like, do you know what that means? Those are big words. And let's talk about this. It was just great. So what happened to Rachel Riley? It's light. It does go into the heavy moments, but it stays light. The context of it is great. It's real. It's easy to grasp. 10 out of 10 stars. Loved it so much. What happened to Rachel Riley by Claire Swinarski.
Excellent.
Nice.
Yeah. So
Nice.
we're going to take a break because we got lots of eclipse things to talk about. And so stay tuned on the other side.
And you're listening to Off the Shelf on My 96.7.
All right, we're going to get real nerdy here.
I love nerdy.
Welcome back to Off the Shelf. We have Nicole Fowles, Molly Meyer-LaBadie,
Good morning.
and Melissa Dougherty in the studio with you this morning. We are talking about the total solar eclipse happening on Monday, April 8th. We're going to talk about it in the context of some of the things happening at the Delaware Library. Right off the bat, I'm going to break your hearts and say, we don't have eclipse glasses.
We do not.
I'm so
Nope.
sorry. Other places do.
Yes.
You can find them. It will be okay.
Yes, yes.
You can buy them still. It will be okay. We can even give a plug. Our friends at Perkins Observatory are selling them
Absolutely.
as a fundraiser. We've got places in downtown Delaware that you can support, and downtown
Yep.
Powell that you can support. Support your local businesses and
Yes.
buy glasses from them.
And Perkins Observatory, we have a real gem here in Delaware County. It is, if you've never gone, absolutely call ahead. You make appointments to go. Go and see. This was built a long time ago. And, like it opens on railroad tracks, like the thing that spins around. They actually use railroad
I
tracks.
have no idea. It's on my to-do list, since we moved up here.
It is so
I
neat.
just haven't made it.
And the people there are so passionate that, little shout out to our own history. The Perkins history is awesome.
Yes.
Let's just enjoy the fact we live somewhere that awesomeness was happening before any of us existed.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a perfect segue because what we're doing at the Delaware County District Library is we are closed on April 8th for
Yes.
the total solar eclipse. That is because the emergency services have said the roads are going to be packed.
Yes.
We want to focus our emergency services on we are going to double, quintuple
Yes.
in population over the course of a day, and we don't need to add fuel to the fire.
No.
And so all of the libraries are going to be closed on that day. And so we're doing a lot of our programming in advance.
Yes.
And speaking of Perkins Observatory, we are going to do solar eclipse facts with an astrophysicist.
So cool.
And that's going to be led by Perkins Observatory. That's at the Liberty Branch Library on Thursday, March 21st at 5:30. It's going to be so much fun. It's for teens and adults, really anyone who can sit through it'll be kind of lecture style.
Yes.
And fun facts about eclipses. Melissa, you're here because you're doing a really cool partnership with Alum Creek.
Yes. So I love working with the state parks
Yeah.
because to me, like, parks and libraries can go hand in hand. I love hiking while listening to my Libby app, listening to those audiobooks, or just hanging out and reading a book while I'm there. So we're doing this really cool partnership. It's called Eclipse Education at the Park, and it will be at Alum Creek State Park. So don't come to the
Perfect.
library for this one.
Nope.
The librarians are going into the woods.
Excellent.
And so it's going to be great because we're going to have a ranger there that's going to be giving you all like the science facts, and they're really great at working with all ages. So we worked with them last summer, and I was lucky enough to be the librarian that went out to the parks for those programs, and they were great. We had full families, like little kids, middle schoolers, grown-ups.
Yeah.
Everyone was engaging, having fun, just having a great time together. I'll be there probably, or one of my librarians will be there, and we'll be like reading books and doing songs and activities. And so this is going to be happening on Tuesday, March 12th at 5:30. It is at the state park, Alum Creek State Park.
It's going to be so much fun.
It's gonna
It's
be
great.
so much
It's
fun.
really fun.
And when they go into Alum Creek State Park, there are lots of places they can go. So we should say it's the campground, right?
Yes.
They're gonna follow the signs because once you pull in, you can go to the marina, you can go to the office, you can go. So you're gonna follow the signs to go to the campground.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's well marked. I've seen it before. There's a nice big parking lot, so you'll see all the cars there
Excellent.
of all the other patrons because it's going to be awesome. We get great turnout for this. And there will be a park ranger there to help direct you to if it's in the same place we've been before. It's a little outdoor amphitheater. And so they'll show you the little trail that you go down, and it's a really great time.
We had a friend from
yeah.
ODNR join us on this program last summer whenever we did some of those summer programs. And he was shocked at the amount of Delaware County residents who came out for a program.
Yeah.
Like he was like, "Well, we thought we might get 5 or 10 people, but you guys had like 50 people."
There
at
were a
this.
bunch.
So Delaware, you show up. You show up.
We
when it
want to
comes
see
our
you
park.
there.
Yeah.
You got to get yourselves ready for this eclipse, too. And what a more enjoyable way of doing it.
Well, we have one more enjoyable way of doing it for the littles.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about the dance party.
So this is a personal favorite of mine, the Total Eclipse of the Heart dance party. This is geared towards our toddlers and our preschoolers. And so maybe they're feeling a bit scienced out and they just need to get those wiggles out.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're going to be playing all different eclipse or space-themed songs. We're going to have some crafts so that they can make like wands with stars that they can wave around during their dance party, and just have all different little like crafts and dancing and fun times, all just like with this little eclipse punny undercurrent going through for the parents to enjoy. And I'm super excited about it. The librarians are really excited about it. This was the first program we came up with when we heard the eclipse was coming. Like Orange was like, we need to dance.
We're doing the dance party. Yes. So that is Monday, April 1st. No joke. It is at 11 a.m. So that's kind of during our regular story time, time of day. It is meant for your littles who are not in school yet. A Total Eclipse of the Heart dance party. It's going to be so much fun. I want to come and I want to hear the music.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to be there.
Yeah.
I'm going to be out there
grooving,
rocking.
Maybe some David
I've already
Bowie.
I've had every time somebody says eclipse, I do sing Total Eclipse of the Heart in my head every
can you
time.
not?
Gage, have you gotten tired of playing it yet?
Not yet.
Not
you
yet.
still play it.
Let's keep going for it. Let's see if we can do that.
Okay.
We don't give up. Like, we have programs for all ages.
Yes.
So we've mentioned a full family program for the Alum Creek State Park Campground. We've mentioned the littles. We also mentioned the solar eclipse facts with the astrophysicists for teens and adults. We've got a craft program. It is registration required. That's going to be on March 26th at the Liberty branch. You're going to make an eclipse coaster, which is going to be
I
super
love
cute.
it.
Yes, so make sure you register for that on our website, DelawareLibrary.org. And then we have 2 iterations of Solar Eclipse Explorers. This is going to be for your elementary age students. We're having one at Delaware on March 27th at 2. And then we're going to have one at the the reason why that one's at 2, I was thinking, is spring break. That's when
Spring
spring
break.
break is happening.
Checks
So
out.
your kids will be available. And then the other one is happening at the Liberty Branch Library on Thursday, March 28th at 5 p.m. So you should be able to get to those. It's going to be so much fun. But yeah, just so much stuff happening with this solar eclipse. Gage was saying you guys were talking about it right before we came on air.
Yeah, we had the operations manager. I don't have his name. Wait, I have it right here. There we go. Bob LaPlante from the National Weather Service in Cleveland.
Yes.
Since Cleveland's gonna be right in the heart of this.
Yes.
And we talked to him a little bit earlier this morning on the Breakfast Club about what their thoughts are and what's the weather gonna be and he said basically they can't really. They're just going off past data from past April because unfortunately the past Aprils have been cloudy and
It is Ohio. I mean, there could be snow.
Right.
Yeah.
So
By the way, you said eclipse, right?
yeah.
You're going to get us singing along
I do.
with it.
I know.
Cute enough just for you, Molly.
Just keep
I love
it
it.
playing.
Look,
Keep it
now I'm
playing.
going to get my ears on.
On Monday, April 8th, the partial eclipse will begin around 1:55 p.m. That's when it that is when you will start to see the shadow of the moon on the sun at 1:55 p.m. That goes until 3:11 p.m. And then at 3:11 p.m., that's when totality begins in Delaware City. There are lots of resources where you can see exactly totality, but we get about 3-ish minutes in Delaware of totality. And oh my gosh, we were just nerding out over break because 99% is not 100%.
No.
And this is why totality is so special, because you are going to get pitch black midnight at 3:11 p.m. on a Monday afternoon.
It's so crazy.
And even if it's cloudy, you will still see the
It'll be
effects
dark,
of it.
yeah.
You
Yeah.
will still see
Yeah.
the effects of it. You will still, the birds will start being quiet. The street lamps will turn
The cardinals
on.
will come out because they'll think it's sunset.
Exactly.
Oh.
Because the cardinals only come out during sunrise and sunset.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
So much fun. We've got our little Snow Whites over here with our effects. All right, guys. Well, this has been so much fun. Thank you for telling us all about the eclipse things happening at Orange and out and about in the community. Molly, thank you for being our co-host.
Always happy to be here.
And Gage, thank you for running the board for us.
Sure.
Until next week, we will see you in the stacks.